So, what if I told you that an entire week's worth of, like, traditional middle school education could actually be finished before your lunch break on Tuesday?
I mean, that sounds completely impossible to most people, right?
Right. Yeah. But today we're doing a deep dive into a stack of materials from the Empowered Homefront. And the overarching mission here is really figuring out how parents can effectively educate their kids at home without, completely burning out.
Which is incredibly common, unfortunately. I mean, new homeschooling parents, they usually just crash hard in the first, like, 3 months or so.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it almost always comes down to this one massive psychological trap. They basically try to clone the traditional school system right inside their dining room. So they're out there, they buy a math program, a reading program, a science kit.
Oh, a whole history package, spelling, grammar, art.
Exactly.
And suddenly they're just staring at this daily schedule with like 12 different subjects.
Yeah, 12 subjects, hundreds of dollars spent, and just an absolutely impossible Monday morning.
I can feel the stress just hearing about it.
Right. They sit down to muscle through, 4 hours of material. The kids get overwhelmed. They lose focus.
Yeah, nobody's having a good time.
No, not at all. And the parent just feels like they have to act as the teacher and the principal and the hall monitor all at once.
Well, okay, let's unpack this a bit because my immediate reaction to hearing that is, well, wait, don't kids need exposure to all those subjects to be, well-rounded?
Sure.
Like if we just decide to cross science or history off the daily checklist just to save time, aren't we severely shortchanging them?
That is the exact fear that drives that 12-subject schedule. But the Empowered Homefront materials actually suggest a total paradigm shift here.
Okay.
So instead of treating every single topic as its own independent subject, they advocate focusing just on the core four. So that's math, read, write, and speak.
Wait, just those four?
Just those four. Because, well, they aren't actually subjects in the traditional sense. They're more like high-leverage skill engines.
Skill engines.
Yeah. Yeah, they function as the gateways to learning literally anything else. So think about what a middle school science class actually is at its foundation.
Okay, right.
To study science, a child is basically reading about the natural world, right? And then they're writing down their observations.
And doing math.
Yes, they're doing math
Yeah.
to measure the results. Same with history. I mean, history is really just reading primary sources, writing about what happened, and, speaking about why it matters.
I hear that, but I'm going to push back just a little bit here.
Sure, go ahead.
Because if science is just reading and math, don't I still need a separate science curriculum to know, like, what to read? Because I can't just hand an 8-year-old a dictionary and say, go practice your reading.
No, it's a really great point. The distinction here is basically how you structure the day. So you don't need a separate, heavily structured science curriculum that has its own dedicated workbook and quizzes and a 40-minute time block.
Yeah.
You just use really fascinating books about space or the ocean as the actual material to practice your reading and writing. So you're integrating the subjects into the core skills rather than isolating them.
Oh, I see. So you aren't buying a bunch of specialized vehicles, like a tiny car you only drive for history, and then a totally separate truck you only use for geography.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just trying to build, I don't know, one powerful all-terrain engine that you can just drive anywhere.
That is the perfect way to look at it. If a child has a highly developed engine for reading comprehension and writing, they can tackle any historical or scientific topic totally on their own later.
Wow.
And the data actually backs this up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you look at the highest performing education systems globally, places like Singapore and Japan, they don't achieve those top international assessment scores by spreading kids thin across a dozen subjects.
Interesting. How are they structuring it then? Is it just smaller class sizes?
Well, no, class sizes are often similar. It's that they focus relentlessly on mastery over breadth. So instead of skimming through, say, 15 different math topics in a single month.
Like we do here.
Right, like we do. They might spend 3 full weeks on just one single concept, just ensuring the foundational logic is deeply, deeply understood before they even think about moving on.
That makes a lot of sense. They go deeper on fewer, higher leverage skills.
Exactly.
But let's talk about the time commitment, though, because even if we consolidate down to just this core four, math, reading, writing, and speaking, how on earth does this actually translate to finishing by lunchtime?
Well, The math on the time is probably the most shocking part of this whole deep dive.
Yep.
If a child spends just 10 to 20 minutes of highly focused work on each of those 4 skills,
Okay.
that equals roughly 40 to 80 minutes of formal academic work a day.
Wait, 80 minutes? A traditional school day is like 7 hours long.
Yeah.
What is happening for the other 5.5 hours?
Well, you have to consider the mechanics of a real classroom. When you have a 1 to 30 teacher-to-student ratio, the vast majority of that 7 hours is just administrative bloat.
Oh, like taking attendance and stuff.
Exactly. It's taking attendance, it's transitioning between classrooms, getting 30 kids to quiet down.
Right, right.
And, just waiting for the slowest student to finish a worksheet before the whole group can finally move on.
So 15 minutes of math at the kitchen table is...
It's mathematically equivalent to a 50-minute classroom period because there is zero friction.
Oh.
It is direct, one-on-one, uninterrupted focus. You aren't cutting out the learning, right? You are just cutting out the waiting.
That makes total sense when you frame it around the friction of managing 30 people. I mean, ultimately, whether you are a parent exploring this or, just a lifelong learner trying to acquire new skills, focusing on those gateway skills, the reading, writing, speaking, and math, is just going to save you immense amounts of time and sanity.
Oh, absolutely. It's a game changer.
Yeah. And by the way, if listeners actually want to see this framework in action and learn how to start homeschooling in just 90 minutes a day, the Empowered Homefront has a full breakdown over at empoweredhomefront.com/homeschool. It's totally worth looking at how they structure those 20-minute blocks.
It really is. I mean, the materials are fascinating.
Yeah.
And it leaves us with an incredible question to think about, really.
Yeah.
If we strip away the bloat and realize that a child's core academic requirements can genuinely be mastered before lunch, how might we rethink the immense value of what we could call the invisible classroom?
Ooh, I like that phrase.
Right, because if the afternoon is suddenly wide open, maybe those unstructured hours of playing and cooking, failing and building, they aren't just free time. Maybe they are actually the true testing ground for a successful adult life.